MSNBC is here making a documentary about tea parties. I should have thrown that out for listeners. They want to hear what people are joining tea parties or why people are obsessed with the tea parties. Well, the media has done that. They've tried to make it a right-wing issue. The tea parties themselves aren't just a Republican or right-wing thing, though they're being taken over by that. It was originally founded by Ron Paul supporters, real libertarians, constitutionalists that are against the war, against the police state. Everything Obama is continuing. Here's the toll-free number to join us on this live Sunday edition, 888-201-2244, 888-201-2244. And I'm now going to rapid-fire go to your calls. I already got into the new executive order establishing this puppet council of 10 governors that supposedly represent the states, so Obama can then say he speaks for the states and openly says they're merging Homeland Security with police and military at the local level. I mean, talk about unconstitutional. But again, it's continuing from Bush. Flawless integration, just different rhetoric to make people think there's been a change. But Obama has the lowest approval rating of any president in the last 100 years in his first year in office, and it's plunging even faster. Will he stage a terror attack or a crisis like other presidents have done? Will he launch a new war? Will they expand the financial implosion to get more power? This is what politicians and tyrants do. 888-201-2244. Let's talk to Dustin in Oregon. You're on the air worldwide, Dustin.
Yes, Alex, thanks for having me on. I'm calling to let you and the world know that there's a beta test going on here in Oregon. It's measures 66 and 67, also known as House Bills 2649 and 3405.
Is that to tax you by the mile in your car?
It's to tax to make up for estimated loss in budget for state and federal programs.
Yeah, I know those.
We're being threatened for our utility and public services.
Yes, carbon taxes, driving by the mile, everyone is to be taxed to pay off the giant debt created by the banks. And the people have got to say no.
Yeah, absolutely. They've put out a bunch of rhetoric already saying that we're going to lose, health, education, public safety, all these programs basically would be threatened.
That's what they do. Just like Nigeria or something where 90% of its budget is debt. The government just expands and expands and expands and then says we've got to have more taxes or we won't give you essential services. The old trick is over 50 years old where cities would waste all the money but then not fill potholes or get radios in police cars and then say, oh, the police are going to not go to work unless you give us more money. It's part of the government holding us hostage.
Absolutely. They're also saying that the public job rate would raise, which would say that it's going to add 25,000 new public employees. Yeah, almost all the new jobs are government. I appreciate your call. Great points, Dustin. Excellent points. It is unbelievable. Government is exploding in size, raising every tax you can imagine, and they're not going to stop until we stop them. And how do we do that? Because they ignore what the people want. Okay, let's go ahead and talk to Scott in Minnesota. Scott, you're on the air.
Hi, you get me. I was listening to the Matrix of Evil, and you were saying something about how the counties and stuff need to separate on their own. And I would just like to nominate Mr. Ventura for something here in Rice County, Minnesota. I know cops and Marines and criminals. And we're a nice little town in Northfield. Jesse James tried to rob a bank here, and Jesse, he was the first person I voted for.
Scott, I got to let you go. Your phone's just too bad. I can't really understand you. I think you're talking about my film Matrix of Evil, where I came up with a plan in 2002 to have cities, counties, and states declare that they will follow the Bill of Rights and Constitution and their state constitutions and make a pledge against the Patriot Act. 800-plus cities and towns did it. More than 4 states did it. And that's what I was talking about there. But, yes, take over your local communities lawfully and legally so the feds can't come in and raise taxes to steal your money to give it to offshore banks. Let's go ahead and talk to Joe in Dallas. Joe in Dallas, you're on the air. Welcome.
Hey, Alex. How's it going?
Good.
I was calling about, I actually got one of my articles posted on your site. in the footsteps of our forefathers, that article about George Washington. And I was reading through the comments on that thing, and a bunch of people are making the point, oh, Washington's a Mason, this, that, and the other, but that's not really the point. The point of that article is that basically collectivism like that has been funneled. It originates with the Illuminati, but the ideas come from antiquity. But basically the point is that the Illuminists used Masonry as a means of spreading their message initially, and not all Masons are evil. But I think, people seem to miss that point.
No, I agree with you. And look, the reason I got into George Washington a few weeks ago is that I was talking about what a great virtuous leader he was and how he turned down being king and he didn't want to be president. And he really was a good guy. And you have to look at the Bill of Rights and Constitution and ask yourself, do I want to live under this or this global corporate UN Copenhagen global tax system where private banks rule over us? That's the choice. And then people take out of context his letters that are at the Library of Congress, not understanding classical English and its prose, where he's writing letters fighting the Illuminati, scores of them, saying no one is more satisfied than I of the fact that the Illuminati is operating within the United States. And they take that out of context and say, look, he's satisfied with the Illuminati, meaning he likes it. No, the next paragraph in the group letters, they didn't have email then. He was writing scores of them to prominent governors and others and members of the legislatures and of the Congress. The next line, and I'm going to do a whole show on these and show the letters. You can look at the Library of Congress. Just go to Library of Congress, type in George Washington letters, Illuminati, and just scores of them come up, the actual scans. The next paragraph says there is no more wicked or evil or disgusting group than the Illuminati and their Jacobin allies in France. They had tried to overthrow the U.S. after the U.S. got sovereignty from Great Britain. They tried to come in and get George Washington to declare war on Canada and basically take over French Canada. And they tried to have insurrection in the U.S. to do that, and he was fighting them. So it's a lie to say George Washington was a member of the Illuminati. The general public doesn't even know that exists or is part of history, but here are his letters when he was fighting the Illuminati. And then they say, well, there's statues of him in D.C., in these Masonic poses and all this stuff. Those were made hundreds of years in many cases after him. Was he a Mason? Yes. Are all Masons part of the New World Order? No. Do I like secret societies? No. Am I a Mason? No. But most Masons are trying to help the community. They're involved. And so the average cop who's a Mason out there, a lot of cops are Masons, a lot of firemen, they hear that and think that them collecting money for kids, that we're saying they're bad. No, we're saying secret society out of Europe known as the Illuminati, George Washington wrote about it, tried to take over Masonry and did to a great extent, and are using it as a tool of dehumanization and enslavement. And we see Mason halls today pushing the police state, pushing microchips, pushing biometrically scanning children. So, yes, and so Masons need to be addressed with the facts so that they will expose what's happening in their own ranks. But if you falsely attack the Masons with disinfo, they will know it's disinfo, and then you will be discredited. Does that make your point that you're trying to make there?
Yes, sir, and I just wanted to add one other point there. If people will actually download that article, because I attached it from my Scribe account as a PDF, it's actually got hyperlinks to those letters you're talking about, so you can actually physically see the letters. And I know a lot of people these days have been so dumbed down they can't even read cursive handwriting anymore, but there's a transcript below it, so that way people can see for themselves the letters in their original context, click on the hyperlinks, and they go straight to those files. I
appreciate your call, but that's a double-edged sword. Not only is all these letters he wrote, scores of them. I mean, I quit reading after like 20 of them because they are hard to read. It's written in that longhand, beautiful cursive, but with the scans, it's hard to read. I'd always read about that in history books. Now I've actually read the letters. Number one, you've got the public believing there's no such thing as the Illuminati. Here's George Washington fighting it. So this proves the Illuminati, not just the fact that it's in the encyclopedia. But then separately, you've got people saying he's a member of the Illuminati when he was fighting it. There's a lot of evidence showing that they actually killed him, poisoned him. All right, we'll be right back after this quick break to take more of your phone calls. Then in the next hour, what's happening in Haiti, the latest on government health care. A White House official wants to restrict your free speech. You don't want to miss it. Here's the deal. I'm going to try to rocket through your calls. But I'm asking listeners, are you concerned about Cass Sunstein, who is Obama's head of information and regulatory affairs, one of the most powerful positions in the executive branch? He interprets the laws for executive implementation. Are you concerned about him openly saying, we have all his own papers, literally everything he's ever written and published at Harvard or at the Chicago Law School, I mean in the last year or two, saying, we're going to take your guns. We're going to ban free speech. We're going to end freedom on the web. I mean, don't believe me. Just Google Cass Sunstein net censor, and you'll get ABC News, CNN, saying, oh, should he ban your free speech? And through cybersecurity, the cybersecurity chief last year resigned and said the NSA and Pentagon is taking over the web to censor it. They're building the systems to do it. I mean, this is really happening.